knows me, really that's the old me. Going through some changes right here and now. I've been on my grind just to live it out. Say what's on your mind just to hear it loud. Everybody knows me, really that's the old me. Going through some changes.
For all you guys who don't know, I have recently started writing music again. A huge piece of me was missing for so long, and I thought because I'm getting older and I don't have like the same ambitions to like chase and be and try to get famous for making music, I stopped making music for 2 years, and my life was fucking just treacherous in some areas. But I realized that I didn't get into music when I was 16 years old solely based off of trying to get rich and famous. I did it because I loved it. I did it because it was my place of peace when nobody could understand what I was going through, or I couldn't articulate it to anyone to make it, fathomable or digestible for them. I put it into music. I put them into lyrics, and at some point, I got away from that and I started making music that I thought people wanted to hear and all that bullshit. I got caught up in it, and ultimately, the love of the joy of the creative process and just making the music and having an outlet to express myself was gone. And slowly the love started to fade. But over the past 2 years, I had an opportunity to take a step back, really try to figure out what I wanted, what was missing, um, things I needed to adjust, and then take the proper steps to fixing that. And yeah, so I'm writing music again, man. I'm actually gonna start something where I'm gonna come on here. I'm not sure how often it's gonna be, but I'm gonna rap for you guys. If you guys don't want to hear that shit, fuck y'all. That's one. And two, you can find somewhere else to listen. Because listen, I'm like I said, the people that I bring up here, I want them to give 100% of themselves to everyone, all the listeners, whoever listens to this podcast. And this is part of me, and this is part of me that I want to showcase. I mean, my song Here and Now, that's never been released, has been the intro for the past 6 months of the show, and I've gotten people that hit me up like, yo, where's that song at? That song is fire. Hopefully you guys will hear it soon. What I will say is I wrote that song when I was 25 years old, and I'm almost 28. I'll be 28 in June, and that song is still so fucking like it just hits. It hits like as if I wrote it yesterday. That's the one thing I love about making music. I love it. Um, I came on here to ramble, so if you don't want to hear rambling, listen anyway. um, this past weekend, we went to go visit some family, and I didn't run this by them, so hopefully it don't make them upset. But I'm not gonna say no names. I got a lot of respect for these people, a lot of love. But we totally just disagreed on some shit. We totally disagreed. The conversation started off about police and interacting with police when you get pulled over, and I don't even remember what got me involved in the conversation, but I do remember saying, if a police officer shows up at my window and right off the back he has a problem with me, he's not getting respect. He's not getting something that he's not giving me. I'm going to match that, and I'm going to make sure that he understands that I'm a person at the end of the day. So fuck that shit. I'm not dealing with nobody's ignorance. I'm a man. I'm a person. I got feelings. You know what I mean? And I hold myself in a high regard. So you're not gonna come here and demean me and diminish me as a person and as a man. And the person who shall remain nameless responded with basically he's going to be considerate of what the police officer has to deal with on a day-to-day basis and what he deals with in his job, and he knows that it's stressful. And I get all of that. I get trying to be empathetic to a person and just realize that they may be trying their best. But there's a very fine line between trying your best and not giving someone the basic respect that every single person I think deserves right off the back. And I know they say like respect is earned, it's not given. Yes, yes. But whenever you're engaging with someone, I think that it has to start somewhere, and I choose to start from a place of respect. Now, if you give me that back, if I give you respect, you know what I mean? Like, if I just say hello and you're like, fuck out of here, now, now we're having a different conversation because I tried to lead with respect. And then, you gave me the finger in response to that. So now we're having a different conversation. So that was my whole play. And like I said, I understood his reasoning because I understand they have stressful lives and things like that. But nobody's forcing you to be a police officer, bro. Nobody's forcing you to come in and clock in and deal with the bullshit that you deal with on a daily basis. That is a personal fucking choice. And the last thing you're going to do is show up at my window when all I'm trying to do is get my ticket and take my black ass home, and you're going to give me a hard time because you're having a rough day. You can kiss my ass. I have rough days all the time. I have 3 children. We run a business. You know what I mean? I got fucking pets. I coach, and I do a million fucking things. To say that I got to be sympathetic and empathetic of his life, and despite him not giving me respect, even though I'm giving respect, he doesn't have to be considerate of what's going on in my life. No, that's not the way things work. That's not the way things work. Now, I'm not just out there just trying to pick fights with police officers. I've been pulled over maybe 3 times, and every single instance has been a positive one. I had one negative experience with police officers, and it was in Michigan while I was a truck driver. That was the only negative incident I ever had with a police officer. Typically, I'm good with them, and they're good with me, and it's mutual respect, and everybody's just trying to get along on their day. But I also am not afraid of conflict, and I'm not afraid of standing my ground if need be, because, like I said, I am a person, I am a man, and I have feelings, and I have a level of self-respect that not anybody's just going to be able to say and do whatever they want to me without me having a response. And even if you say, oh, you're giving away your power, whatever the case may be, you can call it what you want to, but I'm not going to let anyone disrespect me and not understand that I am deserving of respect despite what you may be going through, despite how you may feel, despite how you may look at me. Regardless of all of that, it has to start at a place of respect, or we're getting off on the wrong foot. And that conversation from dealing with police and being empathetic and maybe matching and not matching the energy and matching the energy that the police officers are giving, has switched over to their community and where they live at, which is Queens and Corona, Queens, New York. Flushing, all that shit. That's where like the U.S. Open for the tennis and shit goes down. But it's a population of mainly Hispanics and Asians. And they were talking about, they brought in immigration later on, and they were just basically saying the neighborhoods that they grew up in turned to shit. Now, when I go up there, I've never had an issue up there. Now, I don't live there. I only go there maybe twice a year, 3 times, whatever the case may be, and I spend a weekend there. But the neighborhood doesn't look dirty. Like, you drive through parts of Philly and you see what filth looks like. You drive through parts of Philly, or even Allentown. You drive through parts of Allentown, you could tell, like, this is maybe a neighborhood I should get the fuck up out of when it turns 8:30, 9 o'clock, you know what I mean, when the lights go out, whatever the case may be. I don't get those vibes at all, one bit. And I have it. And my wife grew up there, and she also agrees, you know what I mean? So, yeah, one thing led to another. They go into their neighborhood, and she's like, yeah, there's a lot of violence. People are being fucking. There was a guy at the subway station on the platform with a fucking samurai sword swinging it at people, and people get pushed in daily, and there's violence, and there's, you know what I mean, and everywhere. And my response to that was, everywhere has violence, especially in ghettos, especially in areas where it's low income housing. You got 10,000 motherfuckers living in a 6-block radius of each other, and you guys are stacked 2,000 high, whatever the case may be, in these fucking project buildings, and then there's no parking, there's no playgrounds, there's no resources, there's no nothing. You know what I mean? Money's tight, everybody's struggling to survive. What do you think is gonna occur? What do you think is going to occur? This is shit that we learned from back in the 1940s, 1930s, 40s with the Nazis when they come in and they walk into Poland and they ostracize all the people and then they fucking take all the homes, they perimeter off a portion of the city and they shove 1 million people into an area that can fit 200,000. What do? For a little bit, they're trying to help each other. And then shit gets even more dire. And then now they're turning on each other. Now they're stealing from each other. Now they're killing each other. That's normal human animalistic instinct. That's just what happens. It's conditioning. That's what it's all about. And that was my argument. Like, what do you expect for it to be fucking rainbows and sunshine every day? Like, y'all don't live in the most. You know why people in Long Island don't deal with this? Because they have space. They have resources. They have everything that they need as far as living a comfortable life and having and sharing the space with neighbors. When you go into parts of Bronx and Queens and Harlem, you don't got this. You don't got space. You don't got space. Everybody, that whole space is to be shared amongst hundreds and thousands of people. You don't have the space. You know what I mean? So naturally there's gonna be conflict. And then you bring things like money and drugs or whatever the case may be. And then now, you got these other issues seeping into the current issues, and now you got bigger issues. But like I said, I've never seen any of this in this part of Queens where they live. So to me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't see it. And then all the reasons that they kept bringing up was things that, they're reading. I said, okay, so look, you tell me what happened to you that makes you feel the way that you feel about your neighborhood. And she goes, well, nothing happened to me. I said, okay, so where are you getting this from? Oh, I read it on the news. You see it on social media. I said, it's the news and social media. You're going to get exactly. I said, I'm thinking to myself like, yo, I almost killed a man 3 years ago because of what I was reading on the news and engaging in social media and things of that nature. That shit got a way of fucking with your mind. It got you thinking that the whole world is out to get you and there's nowhere safe but inside the comfort of your own home. Anything outside is like Wild Wild West, and that's not really what it is. You take a walk down the street, you go talk to somebody, you'll figure out that everything is cool, everything is kosher. You know what I mean? But they were getting upset with the fact that I wasn't trying to understand, and it's because I also grew up in a poor area. And it's because I also grew up in an area with guns and drugs and violence. And no, it's not New York. It's not. I don't have tens of thousands of people living in a smaller area. But, you know what I mean? The mindset of poor people doesn't change. It doesn't. You look at poor people in fucking Africa and India and Asia, here in America and Canada. It's all the same. It's all the survival of the fittest. And everybody's going to try to get their little piece of the pie. You know what I mean? So that shit I was unfazed by a lot of that. And he went so far, my man went so far to say, I don't like the fact that if you call the police, they don't come. They don't, you know what I mean? You could say there's people smoking and drinking out front of your house, blasting loud music, and you just want them off your property and they don't show up. I get it. I'd be mad as fuck if somebody out front of my house too, smoking, drinking, and you know what I mean? I'm trying to relax in my crib and you got music blasting, you being belligerent, ignorant. I get it. But I also live in a place on purpose where I don't need these motherfucking police officers to come and handle my issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is my property, if I own this motherfucker, you can't tell me what I can and cannot do on here. And the one thing you definitely not going to do is stay in my space after your invitation has been revoked. You getting up off the premises in a fucking flash with the quickness. You know what I'm saying? But you live in New York. Y'all don't have certain rights there. Y'all don't have no gun rights. You know what I mean? I'm not even sure if y'all can own fucking baseball bats. How strict the laws are. Nah, I know you can own baseball bats, but you know what I'm saying? Like y'all do, like a lot of the freedoms that certain places in the country have, you don't have because you live in this biggest or second biggest city in the entire world. I mean, in the country. You know what I mean? So that comes with the give and take. If you don't like it, though, you don't have to live there. It's convenient, but you don't have to live there. And that was my argument. You don't have to be there. Um, and they're like, I would prefer that if they brought back stop and frisk. Now, if you guys don't know what stop and frisk is, this is something that I believe it was in the late 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, where these police officers in New York, if you looked suspicious, what the fuck does suspicious look like? If that's the case, everybody right now in America looks suspicious, wearing fucking shiesty masks, shit, even medical masks. You can't even tell what people look like anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so what does suspicious look like? We know what suspicious looks like. It looks like colored people. Because that's who these laws affect the most. They're people in poor areas that are black and brown and of ethnic cultures. That's who suffers from shit like this. And that's how far he went to say. And I said, why would you want some shit like that? I said, you were old enough to be driving and riding around in New York when you had to endure. I was like, how'd you feel about that? Oh, I didn't like it at first. He's like, but once I realized that all the cops disappeared, I could deal with being harassed. That shit don't make no fucking sense to me. And you'll never get me to agree with some motherfucker just because I look a certain way, think he got the right to press me about anything. Get the fuck out of here. He even went so far to say he used to get pulled over all the time, okay? And they be like, where's the drugs? I know you got guns in the car. Where's the knives? I know she got something. Talking about his girlfriend in the passenger. I know she's holding something. Get out the car. I wish a motherfucking cop would do that shit to me. That's too fucking far, bro. I'm a person. I'm a grown fucking man. I'm a human being. You ain't gonna walk up to me and just start letting them fly off the rip accusations, non-substantiated accusations. You're not about to start throwing that shit at me. Fuck you thought this was? You get to be a cop for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. And then you take that badge off and you got to go be a regular person too. Don't let your job get it fucked up that we're people at the end of the day. Fuck that badge. I don't give a fuck about that badge. Know what I'm saying? Like, it's so bad that in America, I've read stories before where off-duty cops are being harassed by cops, even when they trying to prove they actually police officers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit'll never make sense to me. And I'll be 100% honest. I was fucking disappointed to hear some shit like that, especially when we have the world at our fingertips and we can look all over the country, all over the world, on any fucking continent and see how they police and see what they do. Maybe we can implement some of those things here in our own cities or countries or towns to make things a little bit more better for everyone. You know what I'm saying? But he went as far to say, I want stop and frisk to come back. And this is a very bright dude. This is my brother. It's still my brother. But that shit blew my fucking mind. And it pissed me the fuck off, honestly. And this was the only point of the conversation where I started to get a little hype because I just could not believe it. Especially after I said, do you know who those laws affect the most? And he said, yeah. I said, it's people that look like you and me. He said, yeah. So why? Why would some shit even like that come out of your mouth, bro? Come out of your mouth. Now, I understand. I understand from the aspect of he just wants his neighborhood to be the way that it once was. And I can feel that. Because there's some things here in Allentown where I felt like it was beauty. It was a beautiful thing to be able to do certain things that we no longer have the ability to do. You know what I mean? So I get that. But to go as far as that, I was not okay with. And the argument ended up with I didn't let anyone talk, apparently. I basically did the whole conversation myself. And, they're going to feel the way that they feel, and I feel the way that I feel. And that's fine. We can agree to disagree. I don't got to live in Queens, New York. I don't got to deal with motherfuckers acting crazy on platforms. or why you just trying to wait for a train, and you know what I mean? I don't got to deal with shit like that. So I guess it's beyond me. But I did want to come on here and address this, that we need to be very mindful about what we're asking for as people, because the more we need someone else to do something for us, the more power we have to give up in order for them to do it. And a lot of the time, almost every time, whenever someone gets more power, they abuse it, because people have a hard time dealing with power. It's very stressful to have power, even if you're just a parent. Think about parents on the smallest level of power. I got this child here that I created, and now I have to help turn into I have to help mold as the years go by to turn into a law-abiding, fully functioning, happy human being. And it's fucking hard, even though we have all the power. You could have all the power. My kids are my kids. What I say goes. And these motherfuckers still don't listen. You know what I mean? Somebody that came out of my ball sack will give me a hard time about what's good for them, as if they're the fucking parent. You know what I mean? And then I got to level up on the power because they think they can match me on that. You know what I'm saying? So here we are playing the game until they realize that dad gets the final say. Now imagine a man that has no connection to you, or a woman that has no connection to you, has no care in the world about what you do, where you come from, how your day's going, and you give them more power over you, and they're having a bad day, and you won't listen because you're right and they're wrong in a situation. What do you think that's going to do? That's how we get all those videos of people getting their ass whooped on camera, or people getting shot, people getting fucking tased. That's how we get all those videos, by misuse of power. The last thing I'm trying to do is give a motherfucker more power over me, especially for something that I think I wouldn't necessarily say control, but dictate. You know what I mean? I can dictate how certain things turn out depending on how I act and react in certain situations. So in a way, I do have a little bit of power. I do have a little bit of control. You know what I mean? I just got to focus on how I'm handling that. Here in America, we got a lot of issues. We got a lot of issues. And I don't think equality is ever something that we will achieve, because what's equal for you might not be equal to me, and vice versa. I think that we as people have to have an understanding and a respect that we are all people. And the biggest thing is have a respect for life. Because when you have those things, then everything else can be figured out. But as long as I respect you as a person, as a man, as a woman, and I know that at the end of the day, I want you to go home to your family just like I want to go home to mine. If we all come from a place of that, then we can really start to see change. I think so. Because if everybody's moving on the same accord, then, you know what I'm saying, we really with the vibes here. We're all trying to make sure that everybody's okay at the end of the day, despite who's right or who's wrong. I think a lot of that goes missing. So yeah, that's on that topic. Another thing I wanted to touch on, I think we're about to go to war. I've been saying this shit for over a year, but I've been slowly, like, just keeping an eye on it. Every couple days I'll check it out. But I find it really fucking weird. Like, I'm going to date it back to last week. The first time I turn on the radio and I hear them talking about Chris Rock's stand-up and about how he's addressing the Will Smith shit at the fucking award ceremony last year. I don't even remember what it was. I don't watch none of that shit. All that shit's pointless to me. All that shit's fake awards. It's a big-ass popularity contest. It's not about the music or the art, and 9 times out of 10. So I'm not with none of that shit. But it was the smack heard around the world. Fuck am I supposed to do? But it started last week, where a year later, this motherfucker's addressing it. Listen, if something happened to me and I address it a year later, I want everybody to tell me you should have addressed it sooner than this. A year is too much time. I think the vast majority of us, probably just like people close to them, other than people close to them, I think the vast majority of us forgot all about Will Smith smacking this dude on Chris Rock on stage. I'll be 100% honest. And even further back, something else that came out last week was the Jesse Smollett shit of him, you know what I mean, paying these two black dudes to whoop his ass and act like, you know what I'm saying, it was some racial shit. All fucking buffoonery. He's buffoonery. I don't even know what to say. I'm fucking appalled still. But then they're parading these two dudes up there, and they're like, "Yeah, we did it." It's like, motherfucker, he's on the verge of going to prison, but these two niggas that were accomplices in it are okay to sit here on couches and talk to cameras and everything be cool. I was like, I really want to know what's going on in the background that they're trying to keep us focused on this nonsense here. And this is where I go. I start seeing fucking what do they call drones, military drones being fucking knocked out of the sky damn near by Russian pilots. I see multiple fucking countries teaming up to do war games and things like that and trainings together. And then you got North Korea. Excuse me. I'm not sure if fucking North Korea got 800,000 people to sign up in one day. But if so, that's impressive. And two, we should all be like just a little bit curious of what the fuck is going on. And at the very least worried, because it's starting to look like a lot of motherfuckers is sick and tired of us running the world, and they're going to try to unite and do something about it. So then you got that. And then I found out 2 days ago, this motherfucker Trump is about to go to jail. They're about to lock his ass up today. Today is Tuesday, March 21st. Happy birthday to my little brother and my boy Alvin. Shout out to you guys. Have a happy day. Have a good day. Have a happy birthday. But yeah, today's Tuesday, March 21st. He's supposed to be getting arrested today. Now, this Stormy Daniels thing with the porn star and shit like that, he paid the porn star. First of all, show me a nigga with money that does not pay for pussy. I know niggas who don't got 6 figures, 7 figures, fucking 8 figures that pay for pussy. If you think these motherfuckers that got dollars on top of dollars on top of dollars ain't spending money on pussy, you bugging. You bugging. Because a lot of these women they could never have unless they have money. There is no way nearly any woman on the planet is going to fuck Donald Trump if he's an average Joe. If he's an average Joe, okay? And I know this because I look better than Donald Trump. And I can't fuck anyone that is in a certain tier. You know what I'm saying? There really is. When the more beautiful you are, the easier life is. But if you ain't beautiful and you ain't good looking, then you got to have money to make a way in a lot of this shit. And that's just what it is. Like, I'm going to call a spade. But that was like 3 years ago where that investigation started. And now he's going to prison? And this is the one motherfucker that could have kept Russia at bay? You know what I mean? Like, I've been sitting here watching over the past, I would say, 6 to 12 months, watching our relationships with countries just diminish. And then I've watched us take an approach basically saying we're not getting involved in European affairs, but dish out billions of dollars to these motherfuckers and resources and ammunition and fucking at this point it's probably personnel too. I'm not even gonna lie. You know what I mean? I know Canada sent people over there, and us in Canada do fucking damn near everything together because we're attached to the same piece of land. So yeah, I think a fucking war is on the horizon. I remember years ago, it was probably like 3-4 years ago, I was with my godfather Raul, and I said, and at this time I was really, really into war history, especially World War II history. I was always fascinated with how a conflict of just ideology could cause so much fucking destruction. But it was so fucking amazing because you watch all these technological advances. So I was really into the World War II stuff, war history. I still love it, but I'm also in a different point in my life where, like, I'm not into just seeing people die and be massacred for the opinions of a few. I'm not okay with that. But at this time, I went and I told my godfather, I said, "Yo, I would love to live through um, through a world war, so that way I could live to tell the tale, essentially. Kind of like we lived through a pandemic, even though I'm not sure if it was much of a pandemic 3 years removed from it. But I got to say, I could say, hey, I survived it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who didn't. So I am grateful to be here, and that was kind of my approach, was to be able to, like, I'm a writer, I'm a creative person. So anything that I can use as fuel to create, I try to. So that was where I was coming from. Like, I'd love to live through something like that, because you get all these fucking beautiful stories of heroism and you know what I'm saying, redemption and loss and gain and all this type of shit. You know what I mean? It shows you the worst and the best of humankind, how ugly it can get and how beautiful it can be. So, there's a lot of things that come out of war that, even beside the war, there's a lot of things that I think can be beautiful about it. And he was like, "Nigga, are you stupid?" Just like that. "Nigga, are you stupid?" I said, "What happened?" He said, "Bro, you don't never want to live through no shit like that." He said, "Listen, I ain't never seen no shit like that. And I never want to see no shit like that." He said, "Yo, to us, it's books, it's movies, it's stories. But when you're in the thick of that shit, that's hell. That's hell on earth." And I was like, "You got a fucking point." Okay, maybe I don't want to live through a world war. And that's kind of where I tabled it. But 3, 4 years later, just like I used to have these conversations about a pandemic and stuff like that, and never thinking that I'd lived through a pandemic. 2020, there it was. I kind of got that same feeling now about us possibly being thrust into a war. Um, And what I will say is, I've over the past couple months, I've been having this urge, and I don't know why, but this urge to get more fit. Now, I haven't been doing much other than push-ups, but this urge to get more fit. And for the past couple years, I've been learning how to garden. My wife's great uncle, he has like some animals, and he got some chickens and shit like that. And I was like, "Yo, you should go ask your uncle, can we buy 2 chickens off of him, so I can learn how to raise them and you know what I'm saying, and take care of the eggs and things like that. Just learn how to handle animals and things of that nature." Um, and I've been like just trying to learn how to become more handy and fix things, and I think it's all in preparation for what I think is coming, which is war. You know what I'm saying? I think whenever war happens, supply chains slow down for the average man. You know what I mean? Um, so gas might get reduced if we're spending a certain amount over to fight the war. Ammunition is going to be hard to come by. Food is going to be slowed down. You think of it in terms of World War II. You know what I mean? They had to get so far to, like, basically give everybody coupons, and they would re-up your coupons, bi-weekly or whatever, or weekly. And then you go to the fucking grocery store, and then you give them some coupons, and they'll give you like a certain amount of cans, some milk, some cheese, some eggs, whatever the case may be, so that way you can eat for those couple of days of the week. You know, rationing. Um, and I don't want to be put in a situation where it's like, necessities or things that we love are having to be, you know, taken away because I can't do certain things. So unconsciously, I've been like just trying to fucking build myself in all these little ways, and this is what I think it's for, especially like the as the days go by and as the weeks go by, it for me it feels more and more like that's the direction we're heading in. Um, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's real crazy. Uh, and the last thing I want to talk about before I close up shop here is um, marriage. Marriage. We live in a world where hot girl summer and shit like that is like the new thing. Um, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's half or close to half of all people that get married in today's age will be divorced. Um, I got a lot of friends that are in committed relationships but aren't married yet, and sometimes they come to me for advice on different things. what I will say is, if you're thinking about marriage, the one thing I think is the most important thing, and I didn't do this on the day we got married. I'll be honest, I didn't. I didn't do it till maybe a year in, and it's just because where our relationship was. You have to take divorce off the table. That's the only way it'll really work. If you go into it knowing that I'm not leaving unless like some like fucking just like I can't even say that. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. We're gonna figure the problems out. Now, what I will say is like if your relationship turns like abusive and things like that, I do think you should seek help. And and if you have to, get the fuck out of there. I don't want anybody to have to deal with some shit like that. But excluding like dire situations like that, take divorce off the table. If you truly want to be successful, take divorce off the table. It's like chasing your dreams. You're not going to go into full blown headfirst dive into your dreams and think, oh, I'm going to keep this here as a fallback. If that's the case, you're always going to know that you got an escape route if things start to get sticky. So when you take it off the table, what it does is it makes you rise to the occasion. It makes your partner also rise to the occasion that we're not leaving. We agreed we're not leaving. We took vows we're not leaving. So we're not going anywhere. So let's solve this. Let's meet somewhere in the middle. Tell me what you're good with. I'll tell you what I'm good with. And then we work out the fucking kinks from there. That's the best advice I can give anyone who's contemplating marriage. Because I do love to see love, but I do not like to see love when it isn't love and it's being portrayed as love. I think at that point you should just go be free. And if it truly is love, you'll find your way back to each other. But if it truly is love and you truly do want to marry the person, take divorce off the table. And that way, you'll just find a way to navigate and find what works for you guys. And that's going to look totally different than what it looks like for me or for the dude down the block or for your mom or your grandparents. But it doesn't have to be suitable for them. It just has to work for y'all. Because at the end of the day, when y'all get home and y'all lock y'all front door and y'all go into y'all room and y'all kiss each other goodnight, when y'all wake up, y'all going to be the two motherfuckers sitting there, nobody else. So, yeah, man, take divorce off the table. Talk to your representatives to try to prevent us from getting involved in another world conflict. Stay away from giving up your rights and stand on your 10 for what you think is right. And make sure that people understand that you're a human being and you're deserving of respect, despite how the fuck your day and job is going. I forget the first topic I addressed, but I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I know it was a little bit of me rambling, but listen, jump into conversation. Jump into conversation. I'm pretty sure y'all could find something to talk about with me or somebody else that had to do with this episode, because this episode had a lot of different things. Thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you guys for all your shares, hearts, likes, messages. Thank you guys for showing interest when I'm out in public and you're like, yo, I want to get on the podcast. I appreciate that shit. Listen, my numbers aren't where I know they're going to be at some point. They're not even close to that yet. But what I do see is that just like when I first started music, there was only a couple people there that truly listened. That's where I'm at here with this. And I'm okay with that. And I'm not going to rush the process. And I'm not going to try to force something to be the way that I want it to be. Because all good things take time. And I'm a patient motherfucker. But yeah, yo, share this podcast with somebody who you think it will pique their interest, somebody who would piss off, somebody who you think is who would like to get involved in these conversations, somebody who might be interested in coming up here to be a guest. Like the Instagram, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube page, Dope Individuals. podcast, or for my Instagram and for my TikTok is Dope Individuals Podcast. You can find me everywhere, man. But yeah, man, thank y'all for listening. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Keep pushing love out into the world and giving out positive vibes. Put your best foot forward every single day. And if you woke up, motherfucker, get to it, because we got an opportunity of a lifetime that not everybody this morning got to get. Peace. Matter of fact, we can't end it like that. We can't end it like that. I'll just fucking with you. Here we go. So yeah, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you still amongst the stars.
I've been on my grind just to live it out. Say what's on your mind just to hear it loud.